So I've been talking with some people who are Christian, and just wanted to kind of express my, I guess I'll say frustration, although there's probably a better word for it than that. It's just that, I've always looked into all of the different major religions, and theologies and whatnot, and mythologies. And I've always seen them as just different pieces of the whole picture, the whole bigger picture, the whole story. So that can be a little bit of, stumbling block for people, I think. It can kind of get in the way of when we're trying to talk about, for instance, like if I'm talking with a Christian and we mention stuff that is in the Islamic texts, well, and a lot of Christians have a problem with that, but because they don't want to acknowledge where they are right. They just want to focus on what they're not. They want to be like, okay, well, they don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah, so everything they say is wrong. And that's where I disagree, because for one thing, it always comes down to the individual, and an individual can believe whatever they want, and they can also ascribe to any sort of religion that they want, and any sort of organized religion they want. I personally don't believe in following, for myself, I'm not telling what other people should do, but I don't believe in following the organized institutions, the organized religions, and I don't believe in the churches, because they're all corrupted, and I'm not even really like saying, I'm not even really trying to blame them for anything. It's just that if you follow like the prophecies, that's what it says is going to happen. So I really think that in the end, the real quote-unquote Christians are not even going to be what people who call themselves Christian now. Like the actual followers of Christ are going to be people from all different religions. Even atheists and Satanists will probably be, because this is the thing. It's like it doesn't really matter what you think or what you label yourself or what system or set of beliefs you ascribe to. When all this shit happens, as the shit's playing out, you can see who are the real ones and who aren't. And it doesn't really matter what their personal beliefs are. People can kind of just sense their own truth and let their intuition guide them and kind of sense what's right and wrong. So, on the outside, the people who may seem like they wouldn't go along with this, some of them are, and vice versa. Some of the people who maybe seemed like they bought into all the bullshit of the system, now they are not going along with this. So you see, they were the real ones. So it's like the apocalypse, the unveiling, right? Because apocalypse is unveiling. It means like to unveil, to all the truth is let out. And also I've heard of it being called like the Apollo eclipse, but that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other thing I don't really know much more about. Just figured I'd throw it in there because it's interesting. But yeah, so it's hard to, I'm just kind of expressing my mild frustration, because it sometimes can be difficult to talk with people. It's like I try to share information with them about the prophecies and things, and it's like, this person quoted from Islam, and Islam's wrong. Like, it's like, well, dude, first of all, you're going off whatever the mainstream probably told you what it is, and that is wrong for sure. But it doesn't matter. In the end of the day, like I was saying, it does not matter what if they got one or two things wrong in your opinion, because you're just already supposed to focus on what's right. And clearly there's a lot of information there. Isn't Jesus the most quoted prophet in the Quran? And if that's the case, wouldn't you be interested in it just for that? Like, so what? Some of them are saying he's not the Messiah. Forget it. Just look up at what he said, the words he spoke. Read that shit, you know? I mean, I'm saying that I haven't read it, but you know, eventually I hope to one day, but I gotta, you know, get through some other stuff. I gotta finish the Bible and all that. But I mean, I just find it interesting, and it's kind of it's also, it plays into, you can see people's programming, because you know, you can tell some of these people who think like that, you can also tell them about like Hopi prophecies and Native American traditions, and they're not as opposed to it. They're not as against it. You can see how the system and all the propaganda out there has played these groups of people against each other. So like, you know, just generally speaking, a Christian is going to be more open to Native American teachings than they are to Islamic teachings, because the media and the mainstream has all portrayed Christians and Muslims as enemies. I just find that really interesting and fascinating. And so anyway, because I'm really enthralled with these prophecies and end times types of things right now. As I just decided I should start taking it with more seriousness than I did. And I know everybody's like, oh, everybody thought the world's gonna end and all that. Well, I don't think the world's gonna end in the first place, but you know, I know what people are saying, like, everybody always thought it was the end times, and then they were wrong. But at the same time, like, that shouldn't stop me from learning about these prophecies, you know? Because the thing is like, it doesn't matter whether they're going to happen in your time or not. If you really do believe in them, the idea is that they will happen. And, I mean, even if you don't wholeheartedly believe and you just think maybe it'll happen, like, wouldn't that just be a safeguard to try to... I mean, like, listen, it doesn't really matter whether or not this specifically happened, because you can look outside your window and see what's going on and know that we need to prepare, and we need to kind of build a new earth, build a new society, create a world that's good for the generations to come, because right now it's going downhill real fast, and we can't be a part of it if we want to live on, if we want... you know, just we want good to prevail. I mean, at the end of the day, really, if you want to, like, if you want those things that are good, those things that are lovely, those things that are pure, of good rapport, you know, you want a world full of those things, then the way the society is going right now is not in that direction. But you can see how there's parts of it that even are, if you can see the bigger picture and everything. There are certain parts of things that are, but then they're just kind of manipulated. You can see how the natural evolution of humanity that's happening is being purposely kind of sped up and slowed down in some cases. I mean, it depends. Like when we talk about, like, I think it's been really majorly slowed down with the racial stuff, like all the racial tension and the race propaganda stuff. That's where evolution is being purposely slowed down, but then it's being purposely sped up with like this technology shit and this stuff with the, you know, the work from home and like all these kinds of things, which are definitely a natural thing to get to, but there's definitely obviously pushed it forward and wanting it to all happen faster than it would naturally. But anyway, I think the reason I even wanted to start talking in the first place is because I wanted to talk about the Dajaal, because I wanted to tell this person I was talking to, after looking into this a little more too, I definitely need to tell them, like, okay, so maybe it's, you know, some people in Islam don't accept you know, Christ or Jesus as the Messiah or whatever, but they do have the idea that I'm pretty sure across the board, even in all three of the major Judeo-Christian religions, I'm pretty sure, I don't know for sure, but I definitely know Islam now also has an anti-messiahs, I'll say. Basically, they have their own, whether or not they think that Jesus is the Messiah, they still have an anti-messiah and a messiah. Like, they still have that concept. So, like, you can pick her all day over the individual, but I feel like that's just another stumbling block. At the end of the day, that's just going to prevent you from, you know, seeing the whole picture, the truth. It closes you off to things. you don't want to leave out one of these major teachings. And don't look at how it is today, because all of them have been perverted and corrupted. I mean, you could clearly see how corrupt they are. Even some of the most pure ones probably has that a little bit. I'm starting to think that the corruption of things, like the entropic force, I'm starting to think that it's like kind of goes hand in hand with the Watiko, the whole mass hysteria. But yeah, I just find it fascinating how I think it's just like some of the most pure religions probably understood this too, that it's almost like this inevitable thing, this corruption, and the infiltration of the religions by the demonic or satanic or entropic forces, whatever you want to call it. But I think that they some of the more pure ones knew this like very well, and so they've, like, I don't know much about like the Quakers and the Amish and the Mennonites, but I think a lot of those groups are a little more pure, like they're a little less contaminated with this. I'm just rambling at this point now though, so I'll go end the video here, and thanks for watching. Take care.